cleanup.
Welcome back to Early Start, everyone. I'm John Berman.
And I'm Zoraida Samble, and it is 30 minutes past the hour.
So in the next hour, former CIA Director General David Petraeus will be on Capitol Hill to testify about the attacks on the consulate in Benghazi. Sources tell our Barbara Starr that Petraeus wants to clear up a lot of misrepresentations of what he told Congress initially, and that he saw then two streams of intelligence about the attack. The House and Senate intelligence hearings will take place behind closed doors. This will be the first time the former CIA director will speak to government officials since his shocking resignation last week over an extramarital affair with his biographer. Some Republicans have actually suggested his departure was linked to what he knew about the attacks that killed 4 Americans, including the U.S. ambassador to Libya. I'm joined now by Congressman Ed Royce, a Republican from California. He's the ranking member on the Foreign Affairs Committee, the chairman of the Terrorism Subcommittee, which held its own hearing on Benghazi on Tuesday. Congressman Royce, do you think there's any truth to the idea that General Petraeus quit the CIA because of the Benghazi situation?
I think the reason General Petraeus wants to testify is because, as he said, he knew almost instantaneously that this was an attack linked to al-Qaeda. And I think he's trying to clear the record of the Central Intelligence Agency on this. And I don't think it should be any surprise for those of us who were monitoring the situation, given the attack in June on the mission and given the training by CIA affiliates, or given the fact that our CIA was watching al-Qaeda in that area, that was an al-Qaeda attack on 9/11.
So, Congressman, our Barbara Starr tells us that what the general wants to do, what David Petraeus wants to do at these hearings, is clear up his testimony from September 14th, when he may have been unclear about the cause of the attack. Barbara Starr tells us that Petraeus is saying that he knew almost immediately that Ansar al-Sharia, a terrorist group, was responsible, but he was also seeing separate streams of intelligence that did suggest that protests over that video we've all talked about were involved. How do you hope the general clears this up? What do you need to hear from him here?
Well, I think we know the answer to this because we have the films, and the films do not show any protest whatsoever. What in fact did occur was the same attack that our ambassador there feared. What happened was that those al-Qaeda affiliates that he had requested support and security personnel to help defend against did indeed attack the compound. And so I believe that what will come out of this is a much more clear understanding of how, in preparation for this attack, our personnel on the ground made repeated requests. And I think the other aspect that we're going to learn more about is why a firefight that lasted 6 hours occurred without reinforcements coming in from Tripoli, why the Rapid Reaction Force was removed from the theater of operations several months prior, and why we lost those personnel on the ground. And I think for us, that's what's important, because al-Qaeda has a modus operandi of attacking the targets, attacking again and again. They did that on 9/11. They have a pattern of behavior of hitting the same targets. And now we've opened up our consulates and embassies overseas as a target as a result of not being prepared here, not having contingency plans here, and especially not coming to the aid of our personnel while they were under attack.
Congressman, it seems like some of your colleagues may have different motives for these hearings, or at least want to address slightly different issues. I want to play you a soundbite from Republican Congressman Dana Rohrabacher yesterday at the Foreign Affairs Subcommittee hearing. Let's listen to this.
What is clear is that this administration, including the president himself, has intentionally misinformed, read that, lied to the American people in the aftermath of this tragedy.
See, what you were discussing a second ago was a mess surrounding a foreign incident where actions weren't taken that perhaps should have been taken. Well, Congressman Rohrabacher is accusing there is just flat-out dishonesty. Do you agree with him?
Well, here's the problem. When you become wedded to a certain mindset, and let's say that mindset is that the problems in the world are because there's protests against America, or there's protests against a video, and you begin to advance that, and you begin to pressure agencies in the federal government to advance that theory. What if you're wrong? What if, in fact, things are exactly as they seem, and it is an al-Qaeda attack just as suspected by our personnel on the ground and as witnessed by our own Central Intelligence Agency
sir,
that was there.
Wrong is one thing. Wrong is one thing. Lying's another. You have clearly stated that things went wrong. It's pretty obvious at this point a lot went wrong.
I'm explaining.
Congressman Rohrabacher is saying lying.
Right. I'm explaining that when you have a mindset and you're wedded to that video, you're wedded to a certain scenario that you cling to for weeks, so much so that you take your UN ambassador, whose task is not to explain national security, and you put her out in front of the media, and you give her talking points which, according to our chairman of the Intelligence Committee, were not the same talking points that were received by the Central Intelligence Agency. Now, we need to get to the bottom of all of this. As Senator Feinstein has said, you know, this is the opening of a process of fact-finding. We need to find out how this happened. But if indeed a certain scenario was laid out and the administration and the president himself stuck to that line of argument day after day after day in the face of evidence and in the face of a video that the White House presumably would have watched, then there's very real question as to why would you maintain that line of argument in the face of the facts.
All right, Congressman Ed Royce, thanks for joining us this morning. Great to see you.
Thank you very much.
The violence